This happens in Buddhism. You can trace the history in Buddhism, for example, of causation. And it really, karma is a very Theravadan thing. It goes from karma into the alaya vijnana, which is the cause of all things that are arising, and from there into dharma dhatu. All things and events arise co-dependently. Strangely, it's the same kind of thing. How do you get the infinite and the finite together? And how do you get that feeling that you have right now into this unbelievably small, painful box you call you? And that's the dilemma that we're talking about. It's because the small little thing called you, bad and evil things happen to. And then what do you do with this infinity that's letting that happen? And there are, of course, spiritual ways of dealing with it. And Zen deals with it in very effective ways. Kabbalah deals with it in very effective ways. But we start there all the time, and we come back there all the time. It's perhaps the fundamental koan that arises, which is, why does something arise? And since I'm identified with this finite thing, why does it hurt so much? And how do I find this infinity that releases it? And that's a fundamental dilemma we're faced with all the time. The fundamental koan about that, there are two versions, but they lead to the same place. What is God? Who am I? They both have the same answer. But you really, really have to look very carefully.
So just on that point, just on that point, let's try and go one step further, and from that point, I'm going to kind of open it up a little bit, and just different people I spoke to before or didn't, Patrick and Sally, Tammy, Fred, and I just kind of hear a little bit, just voices on this kind of living in a world with pain and suffering, right? Kind of holding a view of spirit. Kind of how do I hold that together? Just kind of throw a couple of things into the conversation, then we'll kind of open up. And I just want to just again invite everyone just to kind of hold the center, okay? Kind of two people kind of go off center, something shifts. Just kind of hold the center that we're just doing so beautifully. Really having a Messiah is here in the room conversation. So first, let me maybe just give it to you in an image, right? There was a great meeting of. Do you remember Brezhnev?
Sure.
Anyone Brezhnev?
Yeah.
Right, Brezhnev. He was Jewish.
You good man.
He was Jewish.
Yeah.
He was Jewish. Yeah. So anyways, so he was in the Soviet Union, and he went to visit, if you remember, Jaruzelski in Poland when Lech Walesa was kind of emerging, Solidarity. Y'all kind of are not so new age that you don't read the papers, right? Remember kind of political currents here, right? Right, good. So that's good. Okay. So here we go. So he's going to visit him, and actually, there's a real story. He actually needs to bring him a present, right? Because when you visit someone, there's a real kind of custom that you bring a present, which is very important. So what kind of present would you bring? So he thought he would bring a present, if you remember, right, because he's going to visit, Jaruzelski in Poland, of Lenin's historic visit to Poland. And of course, the problem was Lenin had never been to Poland. So what he did was what he did was they called up Rabinowitz, who was kind of in the Moscow Academy of Sciences, and he'd kind of gotten thrown out. He wanted to live in Israel, the whole story. And they kind of say, Rabinowitz, could you please solve this problem? He makes a deal, kind of Jewish, cuts a deal. Right, okay, I'm allowed to say those things, you're not. Right, okay, so, and he kind of, okay, so fine. They come in 3 weeks later, inner sanctum of the Politburo. Right, there he is, kind of, Rabinowitz, easel, draped cloth, kind of beautiful picture. They take off the picture. Brezhnev's there, gathered with the whole Politburo. And what do they see? A man, woman, decidedly undressed in a particular, we'll call it tantric pose. Okay, and like everyone's like, oh my God, what's going on here? And so someone kind of yells out, I don't understand. Who's that man? And so he says, well, that's Trotsky. And then someone else, I don't understand. Who's that woman? Well, that's Ilya, Lenin's wife. And Brezhnev can't say, where's Lenin? Lenin's in Poland. Okay. So the reason I told you that story. A little slow on the side. So the reason I told you that story is to kind of share with you a notion of kind of laughter and absurdity. Right? Laughter is something that allows us to embrace paradox.